So I go through my stance with tall spine, wide shoulders, wide chest. I push my hips back. I grab this thing with some intention. I find that proper position for my heels to drive in there, okay? I'm gonna hike and stand up.
Hey everyone, Dr. Todd from Gonstead Spine Wellness. I'm here with a good buddy of mine, Czar Horton, Master StrongFirst Kettlebell Instructor, and we're out here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Normally we are in Meridian, Idaho. He's in New Mexico. We came out to visit him. We said we had to film some videos together, and in this video we're gonna talk about the kettlebell swing, the beauty of the swing,
right?
Okay? The beauty and the beast of the swing is what we're gonna do. I don't know what that means, but before we get started, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel, all right? So hit that button, turn on your notifications so you know when we have a new video coming out. Like it, share it, comment below, let us know what else you wanna see. We serve two audiences, two. One of them is the public that just wants to learn how to be healthy for a lifetime. Our patients, right? That audience. We also serve chiropractors. We have a program called MoveNow University. We teach chiropractors how to put functional movement into their chiropractic practice. And if it sounds like I'm excited because I am here with the man behind the myth. This is Czar Horton. He's a big deal. He's very humble. He doesn't like to say it, but he's very high up on the food chain in the kettlebell world. And if you don't know about kettlebells and you're like, well, big deal, it's just a kettlebell. It's a really, really big deal. And I hope this video is the fork in the road that changes your life on thinking differently about kettlebells. So kettlebell swing, we're gonna grab, how heavy?
Let's grab a couple 20s, couple 24s.
Cool, so a couple 20s, 24s. Watch how we pick up the kettlebells, all right? Perfect form picking them up. A cool thing about kettlebells is it forces you to learn how to move and lift properly. And from a patient standpoint, you make sure you don't injure yourself, like when you're picking up your kids, or you're doing yard work, or you're lifting weights. All right. All right. There we go. So Czar teaches this all over the world. I'm gonna let him take it away here and go through and just from A to Z tell you about the swing, but get into it so we can get moving. And then you had some disclaimers you want to throw out there first.
Right. Before we get started, my first recommendation is to receive your kettlebell training from a StrongFirst certified instructor. But since we can't do that today, I'd still like to introduce you to the swing, and I'll give you the basics to get you on the road, and then possibly you seek your instructor down the road. The kettlebell swing is the foundation of effective Russian kettlebell training. It's the cornerstone of conditioning, and a lot of times we say in the kettlebell world, we say it's the center of the kettlebell universe. The benefits are intense core training, back strengthening. It carries over into daily life, just making the tasks of daily life easier, and it has a lot of athletic carryover into sport. That being said, let's get to the swing. This is what a set of kettlebell swings looks like. Okay, what did I just do? I just did a set of two-hand kettlebell swing. Single bell, two hands. We have lots of combinations of the way we can use kettlebells, but the starting, kind of the jump off point is the two-hand kettlebell swing. So first we have to learn the bodyweight version of this, or the precursor to this, which is the hinge. So I'm gonna start with my stance width. It'll be just a little bit wider than my shoulder width. I'm gonna have a slight external rotation of my feet, maybe 10 degrees or so, just something natural. When I make any of my knee movements, I want my knee to track on the exact angle that my toes are pointing on. So I want perfect tracking every time, okay? One of my flexion points is gonna be my hips right here. Also, the knees are gonna move at the same time. So a lot of times you'll see people doing movements that don't involve much knee movement, so we wanna dispel that. We have a lot of knee movement with this, okay? I'll have a long, tall spine, wide shoulders, open chest, shoulders packed down. That activates the lats, and that's gonna protect the spine through this movement. So a good bodyweight hinge will be setting up foot width, stance width, foot angle, tall spine, wide chest, wide rib cage, pushing the hips back, bending the knees. Notice that when I do this, my shins stay almost vertical. There's vertical, they're almost vertical. And when I stand up, I never want to lead with my shins. So anytime I'm doing these, I want a near vertical shin, okay? So my stance width, foot angle, vertical shins, tall spine, wide chest, wide rib cage, push the hips back, right at this crease here. We have this inguinal crease. We're gonna push back, and we're gonna maintain a nice straight line from the crown of the head through the tailbone. So we call that our neutral spine. So anytime I'm moving through this, I imagine a straight line from my tailbone through the top of my head. I stay as tall as possible. I don't have much neck movement when I do this. A lot of people will either do this or do this. Neither one of those are optimal. We want to stay optimal and maintain a neutral C-spine here. So when we move this way. Our eyes stay out in front, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So once we have a nice and effective bodyweight hinge, we'll step over to the kettlebell. We'll line up the kettlebell in between our ankle bones, use those as a nice easy landmark, and we'll go through that sequence again. Stance width, foot angle, tall spine, wide shoulders, push the hips back. Now I'm gonna reach and grab this kettlebell firmly, and I'm gonna push my shoulders down. That's gonna squeeze the armpits, it's gonna activate the lats, which is gonna protect my spine through the movement. I'm gonna push through my heels, maintain the wide chest. I'm not gonna lift with my arms or shrug with my shoulders. That's a common thing you see that's less than optimal. Okay, so I'm going to grab that. I'm going to maintain that straight arm posture best I can and wide chest. I push through my heels and I activate the posterior chain, and I finish this supporting the movement by crushing my glutes together. So I initiate the force here into the floor, pushing, it ends here nice and tight. Because I have that tight grip, my lats are activated and my spine is protected. I also activate the abs to maintain any type of extraneous movement when I'm moving. So when I bend down to pick this up, I'm not bending here. I'm not letting my abs go. And when I'm standing up, I'm also not letting that ab wall go, putting my back at risk. So I set my abs. I go through my sequence. My stance width, my foot angle, my tall spine, my wide chest, my wide rib cage, my vertical shins. I'm gonna push back, grab the handle, okay? Pushing through my heels. You'll feel your glutes, crush the glutes, maintain the shoulders down, straight arms best you can, okay? So as we get good at the deadlift, so we get good at the kettlebell deadlift, it's time to accelerate it, because you'll notice I'm gonna change angles for you. Once I do this, if you notice just what my body's doing, okay, and when I'm doing the set of swings, it's the same movement. We did it body weight, then we added weight, now we're gonna accelerate the weight and get our kettlebell swing. Like I said, you wanna find somebody who's qualified to teach you this in person and watch you and correct those small errors. If you're doing kettlebells now, this might be just a review, might be a little fine tuning, or you go, hey, there's something I can add into my kettlebell practice. The cool thing about MoveNow University and Todd is a level 1, level 2 instructor. So at his place, you're definitely under a certified instructor. But in his network, he also has people who are MoveNow in his organization. So that might be in your town. You can seek one of those people out. Get yourself structurally aligned, because if you start loading these patterns and you're structurally not integrated and properly stacked, you could actually just lead into injury. So it'd be nice to get yourself, obviously get the medical clearance to exercise. We always say that. But also really check just for yourself and your well-being to make sure that you are structurally aligned and your body can take these loads in the proper structure and angles. So, okay, enough of that. Let's swing. So we're gonna take what we just learned, the deadlift, right? Now I gotta get this thing moving. You saw my example of the swing. How do I get it moving? So I take a little step back. I still hinge. I do the bodyweight hinge. Now I reach out and grab the bell here. And I'm gonna grab it just like I did before. I'm gonna shrug my shoulders down, squeeze those armpits. I'm gonna find my heel pressure here. okay? I'm still in a hinge. I'm not in a squat, and I'm not in a straight-legged, rounded back position. Again, it's very specific how we move. So I'm tall, wide chest, wide rib cage, right? Push my hips back, grab that bell. Now I'm gonna hike it like American football does a hike, right? I'm gonna hike it back there. Now it's gonna stop at some point. When it stops, that's when I'm gonna jam my heels into the ground and stand up really hard. And the result of that is going to be that the bell floats out. It's working on a pendulum action, and we're just gonna move with it. It's gonna get to a certain height, and we're gonna stop all motion, and then it's gonna swing back. We're gonna drive it back into its position back here where it stops, and we're gonna do it again. And so we just keep it moving, okay? So notice when I do this, I'm gonna hike it back here. I'm gonna drive into the ground. I'm using the ground. I'm stomping into the ground to get that force to transfer into the bell. It'll go so high, and it'll start coming back to me. And right when it's really close to me, I'm gonna move out of the way, push it back to my hike position again, and we're just gonna repeat those two things. But notice, I'm only utilizing two positions. I'm utilizing the hinge that we did. The only thing that changes is from deadlift, I'm pushing it back here, okay? Still squeezing the armpits, still maintaining that nice tall spine, and then I'm using the standing position where my ankle, knee, hip, shoulder, and ear conceivably all stack up and make a nice straight line. And I get to this position, which is the top of the swing. In our organization, StrongFirst, and what Todd will teach you is that the bell doesn't come any higher than shoulder height. There are organizations and other people who swing, and they'll swing in a different range. But the top of our swing for our purposes and safety and effectiveness seems to be right here, chest high. Doesn't need to go any higher. If you want to go higher, we have some other things that you can do later as you increase in your belt system with MoveNow. So, I digress. Also know that swing is a very, very good strength and cardio builder, but it's actually, when we do it, we generally keep it low reps. A lot of times, and most times, in most practices, we keep it under 10 repetitions. You'll see that very quickly, this will take your wind. This is not an exercise that you keep doing until you fatigue, and then you push into the fatigue, and then you push into the pain. We want perfect repetitions every time. So every time we do this, we're just practicing perfect form every time. We're chasing perfect form, and as we get stronger and more resilient, we can do more repetitions. But if you want to do more reps, you actually do more sets of small groups of repetitions. So if I want to do 100, I'll do 10 sets of 10 rather than trying to gut my way through 50 and gut my way through another 50. That will tend to lead to loss of structural integrity, breathing patterns that are less than optimal for athleticism and overall health. So keep it short, keep it sweet, keep it perfect, okay? So here we go. So I go through my stance with tall spine, wide shoulders, wide chest. I push my hips back. I grab this thing with some intention. I find that proper position for my heels to drive in there, okay? I'm gonna hike and stand up. I hike, stand up, hike, stand up, hike, stand up. And I park it just the way I got it. So on that last repetition, I let it swing through like I'm gonna perform another swing, and then I just let it park itself. And that's how you safely start and stop a set of swings.
All right, there you have it. Zor's a little bit out of breath. I'm not. I was standing on the sidelines watching him go through this whole thing. So awesome. Thank you for showing that to everyone.
Of course.
Some key takeaways as far as me just watching this. Zar can definitely reiterate this. But what was it? One is a kettlebell swing is not necessarily the first movement you're going to learn with kettlebells. You're going to learn how to hip hinge and deadlift first, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Two is make sure that you have good segmental and postural and structural integrity before you do any of this thing. That's where everyone else just generically says, get checked from a medical provider, right?
Right.
And most of the time you're gonna go to a medical provider, they're not gonna know what they're looking at as far as segmental and postural stability. Right. So go to a chiropractor, and better yet, go to a MoveNow chiropractor, someone that you know that they've trained under the same guidance and expertise that we do in our facility. And the last thing to mention on that is to learn more about kettlebells, we'll have some links in the description below so that you can reach out to Zar. Just know also as well, like he mentioned, with our clinic in Meridian, Idaho, I'm a level 2 StrongFirst kettlebell instructor myself. My team has been trained under me, and lots of other chiropractors out there in the MoveNow system. also are taught and have a following of kettlebell work. All of them are at varying levels of expertise, but you can reach out to us if you want to find a MoveNow chiropractor in your area. Good?
Good.
So with that said, there's another video coming up. If you haven't watched our last video where we went through and we talked about why kettlebells even matter, make sure you do that. You can see a link up here on going through and watching that one. Good one to watch if you haven't already. I think it's over here. It's somewhere around here. And then another video we're going to talk about, which is our next part of this, is a fun thing that I actually got this idea from Czar because he did this in his kettlebell gym with a belt system in kettlebells. We kind of borrowed / stole that idea and did it as the belt system of functional movement. We're going to show you that as well. Right. Any last words that you want to say to the audience?
Practice perfect repetitions.
And when it comes to the health of you and your family, results matter most?
Most, yeah, of course.
All right.
Yeah.
That's the other. All right, cool.
All right.